Hey, what's up everyone? It's Duskmos. Today I'm taking a look at the Fairfield Circuitry Hors D'oeuvre. Yeah, it has a question mark in the name. Let's do it. So the hors d'oeuvre from Fairfield is an active feedback loop, and basically what that means is you can send a clean signal in, and then it'll send out to an effect, a single effect or an effects chain, whatever you want, and then back in and then back out. So it allows you to mix a dry and a wet version of your signal together, as well as send feedback back through your loop, so you can get some pretty wild feedback sort of soundscapes. You can also use the hors d'oeuvre to mess around with your wet signal as well as your feedback, just to flip the polarity between each, so you can go negative or positive for either. If you wanted to, you could also use this as a mixer, so you could come in with one channel into the input and then send a signal out of the out, and as well as the send, so you can use the different knobs here to control that. So it's kind of like just a little 2-channel, 1 into 2-channel mixer, or vice versa as well. My setup is a bit of a crazy one. I'm just talking about the hors d'oeuvre today, but as you can see, I also have the Respire from AC Noises and the MOOD MKII from Chase Bliss. And that's because I'm using the feedback loop to send through each of these pedals. So what that means is I'm coming out of the Elektron Model cycles, also in an interesting way. I have all the synth stuff panned to one channel, and not all of, but the kick drum panned to the other channel. So the kick drum I'm keeping clean and just going right into the TX6 from Teenage Engineering, so I can control that separately and it doesn't muddy up and send the kick through the effects. So then the synth part is coming out, going into the input of the hors d'oeuvre, and then coming out of the send into the MOOD, out of the MOOD into the Respire, and then out of the Respire back into the return of the hors d'oeuvre, and then the output is run to the second channel here of the TX6. So in this Signal Colors primer, I'm just gonna go ahead and sort of jam and just show you how this thing works. As you can see, the controls are fairly simple. You just got your feedback amount, your wet amount, your dry amounts. These are kind of like your mix knobs. This is how much feedback you want it to kind of do. So you have to watch this, and it's big, I think, so you can dial in very specific amounts slowly, because it is, as you probably know with feedback, things can go pretty wild pretty fast. And as I mentioned, you have polarity for negative and positive here for the feedback, as well as your wet channel. So as always, I like to start with my clean pattern, which sounds like this. Keeping it pretty simple here, as I like to do when I'm showing pedals off, so you can hear what's going on. So right now you can see I have the wet up. The pedals aren't engaged, none of them are. If I turn the wet all the way down, for example, and go ahead and engage the hors d'oeuvre, it really sounded like nothing happened, and that's great because I have the dry signal set at about parity, which is around 2 o'clock here. So if I turn it down, you can see or hear that we're losing the synth channel. So now I'm putting it back. Yeah. Really no level change there. So that's right where we want it. So now I can turn in the wet channel, or turn up the wet channel, and you hear nothing happens. If I go all the way up, it just kind of muffles the dry. That's because there's nothing happening in the wet channel. So yeah, so we can now change that by turning on some MOOD here. So you can hear those little glitchy repeats from the MOOD. So now you think of this basically as your mix level for the pedal. So, or in this case, the chain, since it's going to go through both, even though this is bypassed right now. Go ahead and mute the kick drum, so you can hear this a little better. So no feedback is happening, and also this isn't engaged, so you're not getting Respira. But I'll go ahead and add some Respira in now. So again, I can kill the dry. And it's just everything that's happening on the effects loop, which is quite a bit. And bring the kick drum back in and blend in some of the dry. As you can hear, there's already a lot going on between these pedals. But I'm going to go ahead and start adding some feedback, and we'll hear what it does. You hear a nice swell of feedback. Change the modes around on the Respira, where you kind of hear how it was sort of filtered a bit. And obviously now the feedback's all the way down, so that all calmed down a bit. Flip the polarity. Here you're going to get a different kind of feedback in this setup. So as you can see, you kind of have to watch yourself a little bit with the feedback control. But it's a lot of fun. We'll flip the polarity of the effect channel. And there we go. That is the Hors d'oeuvre by Fairfield Circuitry. As you could hear and as you could tell, really fun to just occasionally throw some feedback in, blend in and out the effects, kind of manipulate those in real time as you're mixing them. And yeah, it's kind of a fun sort of, feedback heavy, obviously, mixing, little mini mixing desk kind of thing. And yeah, it's really fun. It just adds an extra layer of hands-on control and sound sculpting to whatever you run through it. Also, shout out to Fairfield for sending this out to me to a demo on the channel. Really appreciate that. Thank you so much. It's really cool being able to share as much of this awesome music, tech, and wonder boxes that come my way. And the more I get in, the more I can share with all of you. So anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.